Perfect. Welcome to the Tiny But Mighty podcast. I am your host, E. I'm the host of Tiny But Mighty over there and Main Street E-Market as well. I am so excited for you to be joining us today for another episode of this podcast where we celebrate small businesses exclusively always. Please make sure that you are subscribed and hitting some of the buttons anywhere that you are finding this video so that you can come back and hear more small business stories as they come out. Every Wednesday, we are live around 1 o'clock Eastern time. Today, we're a little bit later, but I am so excited for you to meet Jess Campbell, who is the owner and founder of Blessings Wellness Center in Troy, New York. She has a wide variety of different services that she provides, as well as different products, up to and including being a vendor marketplace for small and micro businesses to rent out space in her location so that they can have a storefront property to be able to find new customers with their items. So if you are not following her yet, you are going to want to make sure that you are, especially if you do look for those kinds of opportunities, and you'll be able to reach out to her along the way. I'm going to bring her up now. Welcome, Jess. Hi, how are you?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
It's an honor. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. All right. So it looks like you are now in portrait mode. I wonder if I should change mine to portrait mode too, just to optimize the way that this looks. I don't know. Maybe I can just change it this way. Change one of these views. I feel like oh no, that is not what I want. Yes.
Oh, that works. There we go.
Much better. All right. Perfect. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jess. What brings you to this point of owning this company? There's a pretty wide variety of things that you've done over the course of your career, right?
There is. How much time do you have? Because that literally is confirmed.
Same.
All right. So basically with the Blessings Wellness Center, I started that years ago. I've been in Troy on Fulton Street. I was originally on the second floor, then I moved to the third floor. I started that once I started my journey, holistic journey, spiritual journey, people say, right? With my intuition, and I basically became a medical medium intuitive and then a Reiki master. So I started offering those services. Then shortly after that, I started offering non-invasive body contouring, where basically my clients lose anywhere from 2 to 4 inches after an hour session with Cavilapo. And just recently, I moved down to the first floor now, which is 408 Fulton Street. And I opened up my boutique where, like you said, I offer affordable spaces for other small businesses, entrepreneurs, where they can showcase their products and or services at a reasonable rate. Because I know, like, now in this time of age that we are in, unfortunately, a lot of small businesses are closing, and because they just can't afford it. Everywhere you go, the rent is ridiculous, and it's taken away from whatever money they can bring home to their families. So this way you can get an affordable space where it doesn't break the bank, and still keep your products out there available to clients that come in and customers that come in every day.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I appreciate that. It's something that I've seen a couple of different times. I first saw that with her Love Collections.
Yeah, love her. So yeah, that's where I got that from her too. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think the new owner coming into that space is keeping like a similar platform because she's moved to online. But I actually just visited one recently in Hoosick Falls too. It's becoming more and more of a popular trend, and I'm really in support of it because we have to support each other.
Yes, we do, because we all know as small businesses how hard it is, right? How hard it is to have people walk through your door. This boutique is actually my second retail store, I call it. I had one many, many moons ago in Cohoes in 2003 to like 5. And I learned my lesson there, which is number one is always location, 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 right? So back in that time, Cohoes was still very quiet. Remsen Street was nothing compared to what it is now. But you live and you learn. And obviously back then the rent was super cheap compared to what it is now. So I had the chance to be able to do stuff. And even then I did like a consignment store / retail store for other people that wanted to sell their stuff, whether it was small businesses or somebody that just wanted to get rid of something because they needed money or no longer had use for it. So I've always just been trying to kind of help people out in the meantime, as far as helping myself too.
That's awesome. That's really important. So, what did you want to be when you grew up when you were little, like 7-year-old you? What did you have in mind?
7-year-old me, I don't know, mermaid, maybe a dolphin. um, Older, high school, put it this way, high school I was a business major, graduated with my accounting degree. I was an accountant for a few years. Because I always envisioned myself at that time being like a corporate woman, right? So it was like, okay, I'm going to have my nice little suit, my leather case, my pumps, and I'm just going to run the whole corporate world, right? I'm going to take it down. Once I got there, I didn't care for it. It's really like a dog eat dog world. People are very mean. They kind of are demeaning, and I didn't care for it at all. Besides sitting in front of a computer for umpteen hours, doing all balance sheets and data sheets and everything, it just wasn't for me. So I switched from that to the home care field, and basically I still do home care. I do private home care, where my home care business is called Blessings Home Care. So for that one, we take on private cases, and I have aides that work for me going there as well. So from basically 2000, I jumped into the home care field, where the majority of my thing, I worked for a company taking care of autistic adults. And then I went into the private sector probably like 2010, 10 years later, and been doing that for myself and other people since then.
That's amazing. And it's wild because this time of year I always think about a golf outing that my dad used to go to every single year in Jersey when we were still there, when he was still alive. And it was hosted by the John Taggert Memorial Foundation, specifically for adults with autism, other disabilities, because they do kind of get left behind by the system inside of the support that they need. So
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, when you were mentioning that really was very near and dear to my heart. That's where we had donations go after my father passed, because it was something that we were all very connected to.
It
So
is. And unfortunately, like I said, I recently retired from the company I was working for. I did my 20 years in 2020, actually. But I still miss them. You know what I mean? I miss my guys. I try to visit them, but then after, we all know, COVID hit, so that nobody can see them, right?
right.
But they're all in good hands, thank God. But yeah, they do get thrown under the radar, thrown on the bus. That's why it was very important for the people that take care of them to definitely speak up on their behalf and advocate strongly for that. If you would have asked me back when I was in my accounting days if I ever envisioned myself doing that kind of work, I'd have been like, no way. I am not going to be taking care of people and cleaning them and feeding them and doing like. But once I got into the field, like the reward for just seeing, how much they appreciate being taken care of, and seeing the difference that you can actually make in somebody's life by giving them the proper care, that was worth more to me than any dollar sign, because I stood in that job, which is another thing. Unfortunately, people who work in that field definitely do not get paid nowhere near what they should be paid. So I definitely didn't stay for the money. I stood because I wanted their family. By then they're my family, and I wanted them to have the best care. So it definitely broke my heart when I had to put my needs first, and leave them, because it started to hinder me and what I wanted to do as far as like my own business. And that was because we were so short staffed and getting stuck at work for umpteen hours or days, really. I wasn't able to give my business my full commitment like I wanted to watch it then blossom. But like I said, they're in good hands, and I constantly make sure of that, taking, checking in on them. And but yeah, it does go unnoticed, and it is one thing that, people should try to help out more with those who can't speak up for themselves.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I definitely see the tie between what you're doing now and that role, because what you're doing now is about health and wellness and keeping people in their best, highest feeling. But what really made you decide to make that pivot into this type of a store?
So let's see. Years, wow, year maybe like 2016, 15ish, whatever. A girlfriend of mine had bought um, a session for me to get a medium reading. So prior to that, I always was into, tarot readings and everything. I was drawn to it for whatever reason. I knew I had gifts, right? But I just didn't know what to do with it. So at that time, it just so happened to be my gifts were getting stronger and stronger. And I'm telling God, I'm like, I call God Daddy. So I'm like, Daddy, what do I do with these gifts? You gave them to me for a reason. I know I'm supposed to do something with it, but I didn't want to like be, what they portray on TV, give me a quarter, I'll tell you your fortune kind of thing. I wanted to really do some deep, helping and healing people, right? So long story short, I went to the medium session. It was with my that now teacher, Christine Siebel-Raff. And she, as she's giving me the reading, my loved ones are coming through, and she's like, you have these gifts. I'm like, yes, I need help. Please teach me. Like, I don't care. I'll pay you. Like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something with it, whatever. And fast forward, like 2 years after, she finally started teaching classes. So since then, it kind of became like a snowball effect. I took her classes for medium intuitive, and then she was sharing space with my Reiki master, Tony Kraft. So she became my Reiki master, and then I took my medium medical intuitive class with another person that we were taking class together over at Omega, and I just started absorbing all of these things. And then what I realized was that I was already doing a lot of the stuff, but I didn't know what I was connecting to was like with spirit, you know what I mean? Or my medical intuitive guys or the Reiki. So for instance, when I was taking care of the autistic adults, and obviously none of them, the majority of them were nonverbal. So with their medical issues, I didn't realize like I was tapping into their energy to try to figure out what was going on with them. And after learning what it was that I was doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for a while, because we had to, as advocates, definitely speak up for them when it came to doctors, came to nurses or whoever, because unfortunately, and it happens, they just want to force feed them pills to just cover up the issue, right? So us as their caretakers had to really make sure that they got the proper care. Like, no, you're not going to keep covering up it's not this, it's not that. Like, I know what they are, I know what their symptoms are, I know how they are because I've been taking care of them. So if they're doing certain things, it's because of this. So anyway, going back to it, I was really connecting to their energy to get information regarding the medical health. That's what the medical intuitive. Also, when they were in pain and, just trying to coddle them and make sure they're good, I started feeling the urge, which is so weird, of laying my hands, and what I would do at the time, because I'm a strong believer, like I said, in God, Jesus, I literally would just put my hands on him and I would just pray, like, God, please, please, please take this pain away, something simple like that. But it was the laying in the hands I noticed I was doing more often. So when I took my Reiki class, it all started to make sense again. They were like laying the hands. That's basically this. It's just the energy shifting from them, whether it was through prayer or through intention, and going on to the person that you wanted to go to. So it all kind of like basically transformed, right? Transitioned, whatever, from me doing that to then learning my gifts to it, like the light bulb going in my head, like, oh my gosh, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I am a healer. You know, it makes total sense now. Everything just started to make sense. And so after continuing my classes, then I just opened up my wellness center and started offering the services, you know, and just started helping as many people as I can possibly help. That's my goal.
That is awesome. So I see a lot of people who are on TikTok who do those types of services and stuff like that. Do you have a TikTok channel as well?
I do, but I'm working on it. So as a business owner, I know I am not alone in this boat. I am struggling, right? We struggle with marketing and advertising and all this, just getting our brand, our branding, or whatever the words that they put in nowadays. Content, right? All these things. I'm like, I don't know. You know, I do little videos, I do little knick-knack stuff. So I just got my TikTok like last year sometime. I am still unable to do a live because I think you have to have like so many followers or whatever to do a live, but I do a lot of my live readings on Facebook. So my group page, yep. So on my group page, I have like over 3,000 people in my group, and I try to go live like once a week. I've been trying to be more consistent with it, where I do my free readings. So I'll do like my tarot readings, or I'll just do an intuitive reading. If medical happens to come through, then that's what comes through. If spirit happens to come through and wants to speak to somebody that's watching, they will definitely pop in. And so that's how I do that. But it's really just on Facebook right now until I get my followers up on TikTok and Instagram. But I love that too, because they love it because it's free, and I love it because it's still part of healing. They get to hear the message, they get to hear the guidance, whatever it is that they need to hear that day.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Which of the social platforms so far is your favorite?
Well, I always say Facebook hates me. For whatever reason. They have banned me, and I'm like, really?
What?
Like everything I do is good and it's positive. How am I banned from promoting or advertising? But I guess, I don't know, maybe I show too many bellies with the, my body contouring. Because I like to show pictures of people's results. So I'm like, it's either that or maybe something I was selling, even though it's totally all legal, they thought it was something else. I have no idea why Facebook does not allow me to promote or advertise my business. And when I do my lives, it's like I can never see really who's on watching. It's so hard to go through all the comments, you know what I mean? And then I have to jump out and jump back in. So I would say Facebook is not my least, but I have a better way of connecting with them, obviously, because of my groups and stuff like that. TikTok, I get way more views on my content from TikTok, I noticed. Instagram and Facebook are the same. So it's like, I don't get much views on my stuff there, I guess my whole algorithm, whatever, is dead. So I don't know how to jumpstart that. I don't know all this stuff. It's so complicated when it comes to the social media. That's why I think I need to like really hire somebody to handle all of that, because I am definitely not the best.
Oh, well, I mean, we're all learning in terms of things
Yeah.
when it comes to that social media stuff. And it was interesting because I was speaking to a very niche customer the other day about their social media pages and doing some research into why they're having struggle, because they were having similar things like, why am I not allowed to put a dollar sign on this? And why, if I put sale, Instagram flags it and stuff like that. And it was because of the niche that they were in specifically. And I was able to find laws that were related to it that were legislated in New York State. So sometimes there is a reason. Sometimes I feel like these algorithms are just mean, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Seriously, like, what do I need to do to get people? Because people are like, I didn't know you did this, and they're friends of mine on Facebook. I didn't know you had a store open. I'm like, I post something every day, so you're clearly not seeing my post. But like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating is what the word is, you know?
It is. It is. And it's a lot when you're wearing every single hat as a business owner,
Yeah.
thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to make a custom solution for every single one of these pages according to what they're going to allow. It is a lot, but it is really required if you're going to make that marketing piece. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's definitely something that I could maybe help with on the other side, but
I would appreciate it.
awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. So let's dive in a little bit further here in terms of your original idea to where you are today. So, did you set out with all of the things that you're doing in mind? You probably were really thinking of that healing piece. How did things transform over time?
Gosh. Okay. Um, so the story of my life is 9 times out of 10, I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. Excuse my language. I kind of just wing it. That's my life. I just wing it. I leave it all in God's hands. And if it works, great. If it don't, I kind of just dust myself off and try it. Right. So after having my first store, I thought I was done with the stores, honestly, because it's so hard, right? It's like you just sit in the store, and that was when I just doing retail. So whether it was me just sitting in the store or my mom, thank God I had her to help me because at that time I still had to work like 100 hours a week taking care of the autistic adult to
Gosh.
make sure I have the rent money for my store and make sure I have, you know what I mean? And on top of that, single mother of two, balancing, right?
Yeah.
So thank God I had my mom helping me out with the store, working it while I was at work. And but it's hard because you sit here and you wait and you look at your door and you're like, is any customers gonna come in? And you can have a great day, say a great day is $500 in sales. And then there was not too many of those, but there was more days where little kids at that time I had like candy and I had like juice and stuff like that, the quarter waters we call it, right? I would have more kids come into the store grabbing a candy bar, a quarter water, and it would be like a $10 day, and that's what it was at that time, unfortunately. So I had no thought moving forward of opening another store, right? Retail store. So from then, like I said, that was back in 2004, like 3 to 5. I basically just worked and I'm like, well, but then I started getting the itch again, right? The entrepreneur, like I need to do something more. Like, working 100 hours a week is really like taking a toll because now I already done did it for like 10 years straight or whatever, 15 probably years straight. And I'm like, okay, I need to do something else. So that's after 10 years of doing it straight. In 2010 is when I opened my home business, right? Because I got into a network of ladies. Thankfully, Daniela Filmer, who is amazing, she got me in her network. And from there, I kind of just branched off and did my own as far as private home care. But then I'm like, okay, this is great because I love helping people. I'm a caregiver. This is what I do. This is awesome. And then what I wanted to do, so I started doing Avon, right? Avon was my thing. That's how I started my first store, selling Avon. I loved connecting with the clients. Like, hey, I love it. You have this. I love packing the little stuff and giving the little freebies. So when I first opened my first store, that was how I started, from Avon. So then I started selling Avon again. So it's filling that itch. It's doing that, it's, making me feel good. I'm like, okay. So one thing led to another. What I started doing afterwards was buying like wholesale things, and I was selling it online. So then I came across this building with the owner, Carlos, rest in peace, who gave me the perfect opportunity to have a small space, because now my husband's like, what are you doing? The house is being taken over. You had a little corner here, but now it's like the whole, dining room and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I need somewhere to go. So he gave me a space that was super duper affordable. So there I had my home care business, and I had like a place where people could come in and shop. So from that to that, and then I wanted to have like events, right? So I had created Plush, and that was for basically entertaining, educating, and empowering. because I'm all about women empowerment, right? I'm all about providing the help that they need, you know, uplifting them, inspiring them. So then that led me to have my Women Empowerment festivals and markets, where I can have all lady vendors come in and sell their products. And so it just got bigger and bigger. And as it got bigger and bigger, my space needed to get bigger and bigger. So long story short, came down here, and like I said, I just kind of winged it. That, like, if you would have asked me if I would, you know, like I said, even 10 years ago, would I had envisioned this? I wouldn't say I could, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have a clue. I kind of just let God, you know, take over and take control and lead me to where I needed to be. I always known that I am here on earth to help people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've known that since I was very young. Like, I just have that passion to help people, you know what I'm saying? To heal them. But for it to lead me to where I'm at now, like, it was truly a blessing. Hence,
That's amazing.
blessings.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it sounds like you're just open to the opportunities that present themselves. And when you feel inclined to go in that direction, it feels like the right thing for you and you connect with it, you follow it.
Yes, that's the goal. You got to feel right to my soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then I'm like, no, that's not for me. You know, so I just kind of just leave it in God's hands and see where he takes me, you know, and I try, like you said, try new things. And if it doesn't work, okay, you know, try it again. You know, you just got to keep just dusting yourself off and keep on trying and see what does work.
Yeah. That resilience is very important. And a lot of people would agree with you in terms of the entrepreneurship piece. So
Yeah, it's hard. Like I have so I have another location in Albany where I rent space out to, you know, women entrepreneurs, and she's actually a massage therapist, Kathleen. I got her cards here. You guys can look, shameless plug. Message me for massage 518-308-3297. She's located at my office in 251 in Carter Road in Albany. And I was just telling her, she was like, I haven't had a client in 2 weeks. She's just started. So I was just giving her, like, you know, some help, like, do this, do that, you know, get into these festivals, get into these fairs, offer your massage services there. She's also a Reiki student of mine. And I was telling her, you know, you can do a combo, you know, massage with Reiki, you know, do that and blast your promotions all over these Facebook groups, or, you know, get your social media up and stuff. Sorry.
no worries.
Good. Oh, we're good. And so, like, blast your social media presence, build up, you know, your content there. I was telling her how I was struggling with that. But basically just to keep on trying. Like, it takes a lot of work, but like I told her, like, I retired from my job from a company in 2020. And thankfully, thank God, thank my whole army above, I've been able to, you know, obviously maintain my business on my own, you know, going full street, like full head, you know what I mean? Whatever the word is. Yeah, what is it? Full steam ahead, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Like 100%, pouring 100% into my business, you know, but it's hard. It's really hard. You know what I mean? Especially in today's economy, on top of that, where people just don't have the extra money. It's like, get a massage or buy groceries, you know? It's hard. So I'm like, you just gotta keep on keeping on, and you know, have faith and that things will work out, definitely.
Yeah. That health and wellness fair that I had sent over to you that's going to be up here might be a really good spot for her. They were looking for massage therapists specifically.
Oh, good.
So,
Yeah, I'll definitely let her know about that.
yeah, that's a good one. And let me know if you need the link again. I'll check that
Yeah,
out. I'll double
it's
check.
an email, right?
Yeah, I think they're still taking vendors at this time. It's coming up pretty soon. I think it's up to April 1st, but I'm not 100% sure, but she should definitely hurry.
All right.
So.
Yeah, I'm going to pass that message to her today, actually, when we're done with this, because she, you know, just starting off as a massage therapist, you know, with anything, building up your clientele, it's just hard, you know, and it's like, you know, you don't have the money to quite advertise yet, you know what I mean? But then it's like, where is good now? What is the good thing to advertise on? TV, nobody really watches TV like that. It's all streaming, right? For the most part. Radio, everybody does like iHeart and all this stuff. You know, regular, you can do it there, but how much do you see in return? And they're so expensive, you know, for like a 30-second slot on TV, you know, commercials, thousands of dollars, you know, whatever. Like, it's hard. It's hard, but that's where you got to be creative, you know, and really get your clients to also spread, you know, the word of mouth, you know.
Yep. That's still the most powerful advertising that you're going to get without question. That's still statistically going to pound for pound outweigh anything else in terms of commercials on any other space. And I think that social media is nice because you get the opportunity to boost some of your posts and stuff like that. But when you really break it down and you look at what these big juggernauts are capable of spending in terms of ads compared to a small business, I mean, Amazon spends more in a second on marketing than a small business can over the course of an entire year. And that's not even a joke. They spent $44.4 billion in 2023, and they are definitely going to spend more this year in marketing. And that breaks down to $1,400 per second.
That's
the
crazy.
Average small business, 66.3% of small businesses spend $1,000 or less on marketing in 2023.
Yeah.
How do you compete?
You can't. That's why I'm like, you can't. Like, I actually just started, and I may try it. There's I don't know if it's Hulu or somewhere where they do like local advertising. I think it starts at like $1,200. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can try that, you know, just to see what it is. I've done a commercial on, what is the Time Warner Spectrum? I'm so old school, right? Spectrum cable. And that was only because it was free, you know, and that they had a promotion. But literally they ran it for like, it might have been like a month or something. I can't remember, on certain channels and during certain times. And I did not get one person giving me a call like, hey, I saw your ad on TV. I'm like, that's crazy. Imagine if I would have paid for that. You know what I mean? It's insane. So it makes you question, like you said, what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's nice.
So that's probably one of the hardest parts of entrepreneurship. Would you agree?
Definitely. Hands down. It is. It's marketing, it's advertising, it's, you know, there's so much stuff like, I think, yeah, me and you had this conversation, like, you know, when they asked me, like, for instance, who's your target audience, right? Who do you want to target? I'm like, and they look at me like I'm crazy, like I got 8 heads, but I'm like, everybody? Like, everybody over 18? Like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you know, I'm like, I don't want just rich people. I don't want just women. Like, everybody over 18 who needs healing, who don't feel confident in their body, you know, and just wants to feel good, you know what I mean? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you know, physically. That's my target audience, you know, whoever wants to feel good in those aspects of their lives is, I got something for them, you know what I mean? One way or another.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm like, well, if you can't target everybody, I don't know how much you can help me.
Right. And I feel like when you look at your demographic breakdown on social media, you see the breakdown of men and women and where they're from and everything else like that from your posts that actually engaged with it. And that's valuable information. And at the very least, that becomes what you tell that person when they're asking the question, because you're like, well, these are the people that stay when I'm talking on social media. These are the ones that care. And then they can go for that. And that's really what they're trying to do, is make sure that each person who sees it has a higher probability of looking at it, higher probability of clicking on it, and then turning into a conversion, because what they want you to see is an optimized funnel. They don't want you to see, well, 100,000 people saw it, but then only 1,000 people watched it, because then you're going to think that they messed up and they did things wrong.
No, that I totally get, because like you said, they want to optimize their best for you. So like you said, 100,000, 1,000 watched it, and one person clicked the link. You know what I mean? makes it totally different. So I definitely understand that on the marketing end of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But I
but
understand where you're coming from too,
yeah,
because you don't want to be put in this little
box.
spot where people can't find you, you
Yeah.
know?
hmm I want to be broadcasted everywhere.
So, in your
Exactly.
opinion, what is your favorite part of being an entrepreneur?
Well, honestly, the flexibility in schedule because, like I said, I went from literally working like over 100 hours a week for, I did that for like about, I retired in 2020. I probably cut down my hours in 20, no, because I was still doing private care. Um, Gosh, I think I did that for about 18 years. You know what I mean? Working over 100 because working in that field, taking care of autistic adults, unfortunately, the only way you can make enough money, definitely was through overtime, right? So I had to keep doing that. Like I said, being a single mom, for all those years. So basically having, I think in a week's time, 7 days, it's about 168 hours, right? Because you do payroll for my home care cases. If I'm correct, I believe it's 168 hours. You take away at least 100 hours, that leaves you 68 hours, right? You take away, on a good day, I would survive maybe 5 hours of sleep. So, minus 35 hours, that leaves you with, let's just say 30 hours, right? 33 hours left. And then, figure in your kids, there's just not hours in a day. So becoming an entrepreneur, I have more, obviously, I'm my own boss, right? So I control what hours I want to work. In the beginning, obviously, for any business that you are starting off, you are going to work a million hours, right? Because you got to build your business up to where it needs to be, where it's, sufficient enough to provide that income for your family, if this is the only thing you're going to do. So once I got to that point, I was able to say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to work from X amount of hours, X, Y, Z, and then have more time with my family. Now, now that I'm married, have more time with my husband. And now that we got grandkids, have more time with our grandkids. I can have the freedom to take vacations whenever I want, obviously, So that's the beautiful blessing of once your business gets there, right? But you got to work all those 100 hours in between that to get it there, of being an entrepreneur. Another blessing is just being able to do what you love, your passion, and get paid for it. It's like, what? Mind blowing. What do you mean? Like, this is crazy. I'm actually doing what exactly I love and I get paid to do it. Like, it's insane. But that's a blessing for working, being an entrepreneur of doing something you love. That's those two things I feel is the best, basically my top two.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to stay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a lot of us have side missions that we want to be able to support with our entrepreneurship, different causes and things that we want to be able to contribute to, whether with our dollars from earnings or our time. Is there a side mission that you hope to accomplish over the course of this journey?
So I do have so another business, right, that I'm working on. I have a corporation. It's called Blessers Corporation, and that's going to be my non-for-profit agency,
Nice.
where basically our motto is to be a blessing, but more so be a blessing to others. So in that, we would like to help, once again, everybody, but to start in a small frame, focusing on single moms, women entrepreneurship, obviously homeless, feeding, kids, all that good stuff. But that one, like I said, I have to start putting more time into that because I have to build that one up from the ground, right? But prior to that, I was doing my women's empowerment, right? So I would have events for my women, whether it was the Women Empowers Market or the gala, the ball, whatever. Basically just showcasing these amazing women that's out there really doing things. Whether it's, being a entrepreneur, or whether they're out there helping these single parents or these mothers or these children, or getting the kids off the streets, stuff like that. Just really honoring them. So for every time I had an event, I would always choose a non-for-profit agency, right? So we would either donate stuff. At all my events I've done, we would donate. People would bring in items, or they would, donate money, or, gift certificates or whatever. And we would choose an organization to give it to. So the one we basically, for the most part, we did was Unity House here in Troy. Yeah, because they're freaking awesome. You know what I mean? They've done a lot for the community and continue to do so. Like I just saw, now they have their mobile what is it, like a giving food, mobile food program. They driving around and giving food to people. So I'm like, they're cool. But so just helping out other organizations, definitely is near and dear to my heart, because like it always says, it takes a village, to make the world a better place, obviously. At least try. And that's all we could do at the end of the day, is at least try.
Yeah,
so I'm all for helping other people who are doing their part as well.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to give you a magic wand right now, and you're going to be able to change anything that you want about owning a business and entrepreneurship, anything. It doesn't matter if it's a law. You won't have any barriers in your way. You could snap your fingers and it is changed. What would you change about owning a business?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is the taxes.
It's that season. So, yeah.
I don't know how much I stay, because I don't want to get audited, but it's hard. It's hard, and I talk to my clients, because I have a lot of clients who are, range income-wise, millionaire, and down. And whether they work for themselves, I'm like, how do you survive? You know what I mean? Like, granted, I know I'm not alone in this boat. Like, how many of us entrepreneurs, small businesses, actually put money aside to pay these taxes, right?
Right.
So say if you're on the six-figure end, right? Let's just make it easy for numbers. You make $100,000 a year, minus your deductions, minus all whatever, but you still got to pay. Like, who wants to pay $25,000 in taxes? Like, that's insane. And then on top of that, how do you pay the $25,000, but you still want to show a profit? Because if you end up wanting to take out a loan to do whatever, you're going to need to show that you're making some type of profit, right?
Right.
So it's just like mind-boggling. And it's crazy, because I'm a whole accountant too on top of that. So I know what I'm doing when it comes to taxes. But I apparently don't know the whole loopholes of how these billionaires and mega millions, get away with paying like $7 in taxes a year and still be able to run a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would, I wouldn't say get rid of it, because I know taxes are important at that time, but like a little bit more help for us small people. You know what I mean? Like a little bit more leniency, a little bit more like, grants would be nice, more grants. You know what I mean? Definitely, because I is one of those entrepreneurs that I didn't get a PPP loan or whatever they're called. I didn't get any grants. You know what I mean? I didn't get any of that. It's just all my hard-earned working at somebody else's job that put forward to this, But yeah, more grants where you don't have to pay back. You know what I mean? More help with, more guidance, more classes to help you. You know what I mean? Like, let there be more classes out there for you want to learn how to market yourself better. You want to learn how to, grow your business, expand it. You want to learn how to do your taxes. You want to learn how to budget your books. Do bookkeeping. You want to learn how to get, small business insurances. All this other stuff. How to make your LLC. How to make it. Should it be the S corp? Should it? more stuff like that readily available where, people don't feel like they're alone in doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. The SBA and SBDC do a nice job. I don't know if you've ever been on the SBDC website, but they are amazing in terms of the trainings that they have pretty regularly. And you can go to like different locations too and get their lists. They
What
had a
is
lot.
it? SBDC?
Yes, SBDC and the SBA also, the Small Business Association, which is SBA.org, I believe, are two really good resources. But SBDC is connected to the schools and in New York State. So I owned a business in New Jersey. There is nothing in terms of a safety net in New Jersey to start up your business. It was ridiculous. But starting up in New York State, I found these resources, was hooked up with a mentor as I was getting everything started,
See,
was
this
working
is
on
what I'm
business
saying.
with
Yeah.
them. They had all of these, and listen, it's time consuming. You have to schedule yourself and kind of decide, all right, well, if it's on a Tuesday or a Thursday, I'll do it, but maybe not
Mm-hmm.
any other week, because you want to sit down and really digest all of the information. And then they send out the slides afterwards. And now you have new connections. They did such a
Right.
great job with all of that.
Yeah,
But
that's
at the
what I
same
need.
time, you get a surface level understanding of these things. And sometimes you know just enough to be dangerous and not enough to really do enough, which is tough. I mean, even with like SEO and some of that stuff with like website optimization and keywords and all of that, they give you that introduction to where you can start to understand it, but then you will have to dive in further on your own. But at least now you know enough to do a better YouTube or Google search, where prior to that, you were just like, what is it? And Google was like, and just gave you like
Exactly.
that just weren't really enough. So it
At
is such a
all.
great launching point. I love their resources.
Good. I'm definitely going to look into that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Absolutely. Okay. So what advice would you have for somebody starting? That is my advice, by the way, that I have for somebody just starting out. Get to SBDC, get to SBA, get those resources. See if you could get yourself a free mentor. They did free
Yes.
mentor for somebody
Yeah.
brand new, which is amazing. But they're also really busy. So it's not like you have best buddy that you're calling every 15 seconds, but at the very
Mhm.
least you have that. But what would your advice be to somebody who's just starting out in their entrepreneurship journey?
Let me see. So my advice would be basically having an idea, right? But have some flexibility, okay? Because you may envision something to be a certain way, but it may not be exactly that way. So be open, right, to suggestions, be open to ideas that may change yours a little bit, okay? But kind of keep it on the same path. Um, do your research, right? Do your research, what it is that you need to do. Location, location, location. If you're opening like a brick and mortar, super duper important. Know that it's going to take time. You know what I mean? Like I was telling my student that came in she's a massage therapist. It's going to take time. Unless you have the funding, the grant, the whatever, it's going to take some hard time and sweat, right?
Yep.
To basically build the foundation of your company. And I would say pray, pray, pray. Pray, 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 and just try not to give up. You know what I mean? Know that you're gonna have your ups and your downs, right? There may be a day or a week you have a great week, but then like she said, she has a client in 2 weeks, you know? Be budget friendly, obviously, know your limit. Don't take out a $50,000 loan when you have nothing to pay it back. Okay. Be smart, obviously, in that sense. And ask for help. That's the major thing. Don't think that you have to do it by yourself. The surprising thing is and I know a lot of entrepreneurs feel the same way. We actually get more support from strangers than we do from like the people that are close to us, which is insane.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot to support us. Like share something of us. Spread the word. pass out our cards, pass out our flyers, come in the shop and do, or wherever you at, do a little video, share your video, all that stuff is free stuff. You know what I mean? You don't have to spend $1, if your friend has something for sale at her store, don't go to the other store, go to her store, little knick-knack like that, talking about, your experience there, talking about, to random people, whatever. That stuff helps, believe it or not, but we don't get that as much as, and I remember when I first was starting out, I used to tell my friends, you're not sharing my stuff, whatever. And now they're much better at it. But, I learned to not let that disappoint me. You know what I mean? Like, the ones who are going to share it are the ones who are going to share it. Like me, if you go on my page, I love blasting other people's stuff. So for instance, like even on, I have another group on Facebook, which is called Blessings Entrepreneurship Help or something for the 518 and beyond, something like that. And that's for people to blast their stuff on it. And I would go there and I would share it to my other groups and my pages, because you may share one thing and that person may get 10 people visiting for services. That's all it takes, that's all it takes. And it's free, but let other people help you, be open. Networking is super important, definitely coming out your shell, which I'm still getting better at it. Progress. Coming out your shell, networking, putting yourself out there, asking for help, and just be prepared to, make some sacrifices, but obviously sacrifice the right things, you know what I mean?
Right.
And just keep on keeping on. That's it.
Oh my gosh. It's so amazing that you bring this up, because it's something that's been pretty shocking to me actually over the course of this entrepreneurship journey. And I feel like my first business, I had a tutoring business in New Jersey for SATs and ACTs. I was an educator at the time. And I wasn't teaching math or English. I was teaching physics, but my kids needed it. And I did really, really well on the SATs because of teaching myself. I had bought this entire book and done all of this stuff myself to force myself to do better. Not force, but train myself, I suppose, in the things that they wanted. And then I tutored for a company that had a layout and a plan, and I started to understand what they were talking about in terms of tips and tricks, and then continued being immersed in it as I was proctoring the SATs for years. And it just was kind of this natural transition. And so my audience was there, and I was able to say, hey, if you're interested, and I super cheap, cover the book and like a couple extra, come in, let me help you out, let me make sure that you can get to it, because most of these other programs were literally like $5,000 to get them prepared.
Exactly.
Who can attain that?
Thank you.
So and nobody really needed to share my stuff when I was starting that business, because it wasn't necessary. So I hadn't really thought about it coming into this one. And I had put together these small business gift boxes at the end of the year last year, where I had curated from a bunch of local small businesses these items. And I was so excited about them. I loved them so much. Each one of them had their own little personalities to them. And I was like, this is going to be great. Well, it wasn't really that great, because there was not a single one of my friends that decided that they were going to shop there for any of the gifts for any of their friends. Not a single one of my family members. I have literally, like, well, it depends on how many are still alive at this point, because a lot of them are aging out of the earthly plane at the current moment, but like 100 first and second cousins on my father's side. Not a single one of them went in and did any of those things. And so I feel like, and I've been grappling with it, but I think it's their fear. I think it's their fear of one of their people, like, basically leaving, because they're on this journey and are going to achieve escape velocity and no longer be part of the crew. And if they continue to support it, it almost feels like this fear that they're encouraging you to go on that journey that might take away from them, is what I'm starting to see. But also a couple of them have had entrepreneurship journeys that did not go the way that they wanted to. And they tried to project those fears onto me. And it was very interesting how early on in the process they were willing to be like, well, I guess it's not going to work. It's been 5 minutes. What are you
Give
talking
me some time. I
you know?
know.
And I'm not a particularly patient person because I do
Yeah.
like to be able to see results when I am doing things, obviously, like any other human being. I like that
Mhm.
feedback, that positive feedback. But it is something that I have found so many people struggling with. So it's not personal for the small business owner, but I think we need to shift our mentality as a collective instead of shunning the person who has decided that they're not going to be part of the corporate landscape any longer and they're not going to live that same rat race.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Is that any
I
better?
heard shunning the corporate rat race. That's the last I heard.
Okay, sorry. My microphone keeps cutting out. Am I back?
Yep. So I
Okay, good.
heard shunning the corporate rat race.
Right. So with people getting off of that wheel, and it seems like people are just don't feel comfortable with the whole entrepreneurship thing. Maybe we could just embrace it instead and
Exactly.
actually focus on supporting small businesses. You know, you think about 331 million people in the United States with 33 million small businesses. If each person just purchased one thing from a small business every single month, that would result in about 10 items per small business per month. And that actually would be more because there's businesses like mine that are mainly service based. Yes, I still do have those products on my website, but my main focus is serving small businesses. And so they wouldn't even be necessarily buying from me. They could buy even more stuff from those other small businesses. Maybe they could get 15 or 20 sales a month if we could really focus in on it. And I know that is a little tone deaf from the standpoint of the fact that a lot of people don't have expendable money. We were just talking about the choice between groceries and a massage. That is a real thing, and it gets
Yeah.
worse every year in this country.
Yes.
But we don't make sure that we are investing in small businesses more with the ones from people that we know and love being so easy to trust, then how are we ever going to break that cycle? We're going to still be in this cycle year on year that there's going to be these mega corporations that are going to take it all, they're going to spend it all. And then these small businesses are going to continue to close and not be capable of thriving. So that really is my mission here. It is my Roman Empire is the fact that we need to figure out how to level this playing field because it is
Yes.
and out of control right now.
It is. It is. And I thank you and I commend you for doing that. That's when I saw that you were doing those basket thingies and I'm like, oh, I want to do it. But I know it was too late because that's the thing. Like, I don't see stuff, going back to the algorithm, right? And I don't even know where I saw your thingy at. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that, because I'm all about giving. I've done it before. I give certificates out to other baskets and stuff like that. Yeah. But everything happens for a reason. So I'm so happy to have met you. So, and what you're doing, like we need it. We do. We need all the support that we can get. And it's just, think of it as you're helping your community out. You're helping another person feed, put food on the table for them instead of helping a major corporation, and their CEOs buy a yacht. You know what I mean? It's not pretty simple,
Yep. Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. So if you can, always, support your small businesses because it's just helping out your community and, then it's needed. It's needed. We need it. Like I said, I see all these people. That's why I wanted to do the boutique because actually, let me take you on a little journey.
Yes. Amazing.
Let me show you. So let me just take this off of here. It makes my life much easier. So here, right now, I got all my stuff filled with my stuff. But like this is one vendor. This is J-Rock Collections, and she sells all these epoxies designs, which is super cool. And I have, little tables here where people can come and just sit. I offer free coffee and tea. But the goal is, like I said, to have these spaces rented for people to be able to showcase their products, right?
Yes.
And if they have services, they can offer those too. So, if you want to come in, if you do readings like I do, okay, you can do your readings here. If you do, I do my body contouring, so that's all here. Okay. But if you need to do something else private, you can use that room.
That is
And it's
awesome.
super affordable where you don't have to worry about paying, $2,000 rent and all the expenses that come with that, whether it's light, insurance, all that other stuff,
Yeah.
You don't have to struggle by yourself. You can pay typically anywhere from like $50 to like $250 a month. And obviously everything is included. And, do your products and services right then and there.
Oh, I love that. Honestly, okay, so I just need to comment on a couple of things. First, the whisper words of wisdom behind you is gorgeous. I'm obsessed with it. I love it.
I get it. There we go.
It is so beautiful. I love the rainbow curtains out on the front. That is such a beautiful way to filter the light as it's coming in. It looks like you're creating a third space where people can come and connect.
Yes. So that's my goal. My main thing is obviously creating a safe space for all your mind, body, and soul. So like I tell clients, my clients love it because they're like, we love the vibe. We can just come in and hang out and chill, and it just feels good. The energy's up, and that's what it is, because we already have so many troubles out there, in the real world. It's like, come in here, leave your troubles behind. If you want to sit and have a cup of coffee and just clear your mind, do that. If you want to shop, do that. If you want Reiki, come and get it. If you want a reading, come and get it. If you want to work on your body, come and get it. And if I'm not doing anything, you want to come just chit chat. I have people just come in, and random people, and we just sat and talked. You know what I mean? Come and do that. I do not mind doing that, because if we allow ourselves to have that time to set aside, it really makes a difference in how we feel inside. You know what I mean? And so it's important to, obviously self-care, right? Is super important. And if you want to come in and just feel the vibes, I'm not requiring you to buy anything to get free coffee. Come have a sip, have some tea, have a snack, and just, like I say, hoosah, right? Hoosah, let all your worries, let all your fears leave at the door, and just come in and get renewed, refreshed, and get you feel good, good vibes only, like they said.
Yes, seriously. I mean, but it just looks like the space is already set up for only the flow of good feelings and happiness and support. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yep,
So
that's my intention.
I want to finish on, what's the most interesting thing a client has ever asked you for?
The most interesting thing a client have ever asked me for. I don't know about that. Obviously, a lot of my clients, my healing clients, come in for healing, right?
Okay.
I've been asked as a medium to connect to spirits, whether it's somebody who passed away that they loved. I've been asked to, communicate with animals that they passed away. I'm trying to think the most interesting. I don't know if I can really, I don't know. Besides doing body work, working on their stomach, their booties, their boobies, their thighs, I don't know. That's a hard one. You got me. Here I am thinking I almost made it.
most interesting situation you've ever found yourself in, then, as an entrepreneur, maybe, like where you got yourself out of it, that you didn't think that, like when you were first confronted with it, that you didn't have a solution, but you managed your way through it.
Ooh, you are just throwing them back to back, huh? You see the good ones from last. Gee whiz. God, I don't know. I'm trying to think A scary situation, which I was worried about,
Okay.
was when I had my festival upstairs. And I want to say it was the ladies, I don't know if it was the second festival I had upstairs or whether it was the ladies spa day, but it was one of them. And an older gentleman who was really big, right? Like tall and husky. He came in and I'm seeing him talking. I think it was the psychic fair because he was talking to one of my psychic friends. And I can see her like looking at me and I'm like trying to read what's going on. You know what I mean? Get the vibe for it. And I can tell like he wasn't all there. You know what I'm saying? Mentally. So obviously because of his height, right? And stature, like we're all, I'm a big woman, but I'm still short in size, right? And she's tiny and skinny. So we're looking at each other like, oh my God, crap. Like if this thing goes left, what are we, mind you, you know what I mean? I'm like, what are we going to do? So thankfully I had my brother there selling his coquito. But I'm like looking at him, he's looking at me like, do you need my help, sis? Like what's going on? And, but it didn't escalate, thank God. You know what I mean? Because number one, we didn't overreact, right? So I kind of just like, as he was saying, because he was starting to escalate, and I was like, that's when I intervened. I'm like, hey, let me talk to you out here, So I'm like talking to him. He's like, oh, he wanted help with I can't even remember, to be honest with you. He was saying something, and I don't know if he was like seeing spirits or anything like that, but so I kind of just guided him through the elevator, and I gave him my card, and I was just like, hey, give me a call. He actually never did, now that I think about it, but give me a call, I can help you with that. And that's one thing that I would say, to go with your question, like interesting, is I've had a few people contact me where they don't have anybody to talk to because it's like they feel like nobody understands them. So they're like, I'm seeing spirits, I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. And unfortunately, our society today, like if people was to say that to anybody, they're going to be like, you're crazy, you're a lunatic, you're going to a psych ward, right? But what I do is I talk to these people and I tell them like, you're not crazy. You know what I mean? I said, they're like, because they always say, you're going to think I'm crazy. I'm like, I speak to dead people,
so try me.
Yeah, like you gotta be really off the charts for that. They're like, I see this, and I'm like, I totally get it, because what happens is when you start your journey, right? When you're doing your ascending, your life can literally get crazy. It will feel crazy, right? Because you're connecting on all different levels, right? So whether you're hearing spirit, you're seeing spirit, you're seeing, basically like when I astral project, you can go to different realms, right? Or like, you're seeing energy, you're seeing people's auras, you're seeing all this other stuff. It's a lot to take in when you don't know what the heck is going on. You know what I mean? So I tell them, I'm like, listen, I always guide them, be like, do this meditation first. You got to learn how to, control your energy. You have to learn to protect your energy, and ultimately you have to have a conversation with spirit, if that's who you're hearing and seeing, and tell them like, look, it's not a good time right now, guys. Like boundaries, set your boundaries. Like even with me, like if I go to the airport, if I don't want to feel a million different spirits, I'm like, not today, guys, not today. You know what I mean? I turn off I feel like I always have like a little light switch in the back of my head. I click it off. I'm like, it's, closed, right? Closed for business for these few hours, whatever. But you have to have a repertoire with these spirits, because they will respect your wishes. You know what I mean? Because they're not here to cause harm. They just, we have this light that they gravitate to, and those people who light is shining brightly and they don't know it's shining brightly, you're going to get a lot of, connections trying to come through. But you have to learn it. That's the most important thing, is learning your gifts, honing and controlling them, protecting your energy. Because all that stuff is very real. So when I talk to these people, they're very appreciative of basically just having somebody to have a decent conversation with them and not judge them or think that they're crazy, you know? So that's probably one of the most,
I'm so excited.
um,
We have a question in our chat. Tawana
yeah.
Guzman, I'm so excited for you to be here. Thank you so much for being on the live. So she said that helping each other is awesome. I'm so happy that she had seen that. But she has a question for you. How do people know if it's not from the wrong side? And astro projection is nothing but anxiety for me, she says. So maybe you can give her a little bit of guidance on both of those.
Okay. So for me personally, I choose not to entertain the bad side, right? Granted, you know, there's always got to be a balance, good and bad, right? But I choose not to entertain the bad because I noticed that once you entertain the negative energy, it's going to manifest, right? So when clients come to me, here's another example. They come to me, they're like, "Oh, can you clear my? I've been cursed," and I'm like, I don't do that. You know, I don't say, you know, cut a chicken's head off, spread it on the ground, and you know, I don't. Not saying against anybody that does. Um, I always say just don't give it any energy because if you give it energy, it's gonna manifest. So if somebody says, I curse you, may this be your last day, or you know, whatever, guess what you're gonna be doing all day? You're gonna be thinking about that curse, right? So you're gonna be thinking negative thoughts. And when you give negative energy, when you give it energy, negative stuff is going to happen. So if you're thinking negative all day, negative stuff is just going to follow your way, but you're going to put it towards that curse. So when it comes to negative energy, like spirit wise, I personally, not saying that they don't exist, right? But I know, like for me, when I was beginning and I was feeling spirit, it felt scary to me. So I always thought like, oh my gosh, is this a demon? Is this, you know, whatever. Doing the astral projection. So I started off astral projecting. There's realms to it, right? For me, there was at least. I would go down. I was sleep. Somebody ringing my doorbell. Oh, hold on. I would go down this muddy slope, right? And okay, be right there. Hold on one second.
No worries.
Let me just open it back. I would go down this muddy slope. So when I went down that muddy slope, it was super scary. I would face what I thought to be, hold on. Hi, Ann. I'm in the middle of an interview. Have a seat. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Put yourself to some coffee if you like. So I would feel like I was in a scary place, right? Because it looked very scary. In order for me to go up those realms, right? My faith had to get stronger. And what I noticed is throughout my journey is that when you don't know something and you don't know how it feels, you're ultimately going to be scared about it, right? So being scared is going to instill that fear. That fear is going to make you think that what you're feeling is something bad when it's not. It's just, it could be somebody, you know, a loved one. It could be an angel because their energy is super strong, like so strong. So it could feel like scary at first. So my suggestion to the answer to the question is try your best not to give negative energy any energy at all. Don't even entertain it. You know what I mean? Just be like, nope, that's not what we're doing. As far as astral projection, when I first started, many moons ago, I had no idea what I was doing. None. I would just zoop, gone, be out of there. It would feel like definitely an out-of-body experience, right? And then, thank God for Google, I Googled what I was doing. So in my dreams, I've been like tunnel. It felt like I was going through a tunnel, like lights. Once I started going above, I felt like I was flying, and it feels like a Star Wars. You see a Star Wars when they go in through the wormhole, and it just like that. That's how it feels for me. And it came up with the word astral projection. So I'm like, oh, what is that? I'm not alone. People do this. Oh my gosh. So of course I started like, yes, I'm not crazy. This really does exist and blah, blah, blah. So when you're going through it at first, yes, you can get anxiety because you're gonna feel sometimes prior to that happening, you will get, what is that called? The lucid dreaming, right? Where you feel sometimes like, something's on you. You can't wake up. You can't speak. You have to push past that. That's what it is. And that's where faith comes into play, for me at least. The power of believing that no matter what, you're going to be safe, and you kind of just surrender and give it. And then you won't feel as scared to go through the astral projection. And then you'll actually get to the point eventually where you control it, right? Like I just astral projected the other day, and that was actually not on purpose. It just happened. I was like, oh, I haven't done that for a little bit. That was cool. But are some times where I feel like I allow myself to astral project because it's like whether I want guidance, whether I want whatever, you know what I mean? And so you can hone in on your gifts and you can control it and then allow yourself to astral project whenever you do. But ultimately, there's nothing to fear with astral projection at all. Just know that, in your heart, in your mind, body, and soul, that you are protected. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. Those negative energies that you're feeling could be, very well just strong, positive ones. It's just, feels strong because it's an angel or something. Don't think of it as something bad because that's just going to put that fear in your head. So you just got to move past that.
That's
move past
amazing.
the fear.
That's amazing. And I mean, that's advice that's in line with psychology and research that's been done in terms of, performance anxiety and things like that. Sometimes we really do conflate those two emotions. And I think a lot of it has to do with how busy we are as a society and how disconnected we are from our bodies, that we don't really connect with our emotions enough to identify the difference between excitement and anxiety. And, sometimes we misconstrue the messages that our bodies are trying to give us in that way. So, and that can apply to so many different areas of our lives. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be able to meet with me today.
I appreciate you.
This has been such a fantastic conversation. Honestly, I could talk for another hour, but I know you have so much else to do, and so do I. So thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you. I look forward to, definitely meeting you, meeting you in person, number one. So come through.
Yes.
408 Fulton Street, Blessings Boutique, for your mind, body, and soul. Shameless plug.
Absolutely.
Yep, you can reach me at 518-238-5338. And my website, I don't know if you posted it, but it's www.blessingswellnesscenter.org. And support all your local small businesses and share because it's so free.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Have a good one.
Take care. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 9 of the Tiny But Mighty podcast. It was fantastic to be able to talk to Jess. If you are looking for something and are local to Troy for your wellness, I would highly recommend that you get down there as soon as possible. Maybe not this very second, because I think she's got other things that are going on. And you got the opportunity to tour the store as well as hear the way that she's going to welcome you into that store. I thought that was awesome. Tawana, thank you so much for being on this live. I'm so excited. This is the first time that we had our live questions coming through. That was awesome. Don't forget to shop small. Please make sure that you are subscribed wherever you are watching this. Thank you guys so much.